A Merry Mirthworm Christmas is certainly very sweet. It's very adorable. This is an animated short film from 1984. It's directed by G. Brian Reynolds and Russ Harris. And I was going to say I'd never heard of the Mirthworms. The name didn't ring a bell, but when I looked at the poster art for this and then when I started watching it, there was something familiar about the character design. So it's not impossible that I've seen this before, but I certainly had no strong recollections at all. And this is about this little worm called Bert. And Bert is voiced by G. Brian Reynolds. And he's helping get everything ready for Christmas. And he causes a bit of a problem. He makes a bit of a mess. And this really nasty woman or worm, however you want to look at it, called Wormaline Wiggler, which I think is an absolutely brilliant name, is fed up of him and demands that he leaves. So Bert leaves, but he leaves Wormingham, which is the name of the town, and all of the other characters are confused about where he's gone, upset that he's left, and they have to try and find a way to bring him back and to make Wormaline Wiggler apologise for the nasty thing that she said. And that's a lovely message. Don't be nasty to people when they're just trying their best, because it might have disastrous consequences like making them leave town. And I think it's a really lovely story about coming together, showing support and love and kindness rather than being nasty and twisted as we see with that character. The characters are all very well written, very well developed. We have some really great personalities in here, and that didn't necessarily need to be the case. They could have just done maybe one or two key characters and then a bunch of, well, I was going to say underdeveloped, but I'll say not very well developed characters, and it still would have been enough. But I feel like pretty much every character in this had a decent story of their own. I could, get a sense of their personality, of what kind of character they'd be like, and, had they decided to go on and make a full series of Mirthworms, I think there could have been a lot of interest in those characters. There were a couple of other Mirthworms. I haven't seen any of them, as I said, but certainly we have a great cast of characters that I found really fascinating. They look adorable, and it's very well written. The pacing is really great. I mean, it gets to the point immediately, straight away. It doesn't waste any time. And over the course of the 20 or so minutes, I think everything flows well and develops well. It's adorable to look at. It's quite festive as well. I found it to be very, very sweet. Would I watch it again? I might. I don't think it's ever going to be one that will become an annual Christmas tradition for me. But if I ever happen upon it again or anything, then yeah, I'll pay attention to it again. I found it to be adorable. Bert as a character is very likeable. If you said to me that I would become emotionally attached to this little animated anthropomorphic worm, I wouldn't have believed you. Well, I might have done because I wear my heart on my sleeve. My emotions are always at the surface, so it's not that much of a stretch. But at the same time, I didn't expect to go into it with this much of a need for these characters to have the right things happen to them. Whether that's the right things in terms of Bert feeling better about his situation or certain characters learning lessons. I wanted the right outcomes all around, and I have to say, as a narrative, it didn't disappoint. I wasn't sure exactly what to expect from A Merry Mirthworm Christmas, but all things considered, it's adorable. It's a very sweet story with some really nice messages, some really adorable characters. I rather enjoyed it.